Hello, Rita. Thank you very much, you all, for being here. I would like to already thank you for your presence, for you to take this afternoon, for being here with us. El Salvador, that's nice. Anna, thank you. Could you type where you're from? I'd like to know where you are all from. Thank you, Mauro. I'm from Rio de Janeiro, Salvador, Panama, São Paulo, great. Mexico City, different places around the globe, great. São Paulo, Maceió, global audience, great. Definitely. I love being in touch with different teachers all around the globe. So on behalf of Troika, I would like to thank Disal for this invitation. And it's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon for us to talk about Lexis. Great. So I would like you to think about the topic we have for today. What do you expect to discuss in this session? What do you think we will be talking about? Take a minute just to think, brainstorm some ideas. If you'd like to share in the chat, feel free to do so. How Lexis interconnects with grammar and discourse, that's great. Chunks, how chunks work, great. Implementing the lexical approach. The importance of Lexis as a whole tool for communication, great. Communication without too much worry with grammar, Rosemary, that's right. Great, great answers. There's someone typing. Communication. Oh. Okay, great answers. Thank you very much. So the aim of this session is, by the end of the session, participants will be better able to say the importance of Lexis to fluency, convey meaning using a variety of techniques, and help learners record lexical chunks using different techniques. So I hope I'll be able to achieve some of the aims that you wrote here in the chat box. How to teach chunks instead of grammar to high school. Daniele, that's interesting, as I think it is more interesting to teach Lexis and lexical items instead of teaching grammar and focusing on a grammar syllabus, right? It's not only is it more fun, but it's also more useful when it comes to fluency. And we will be talking about this today, okay? So the outline of this session is we're going to define Lexis, compare Lexis and grammar, someone said here, understand oral proficiency, analyze the teaching of Lexis, demonstrate ways to convey meaning, and provide techniques to record and practice Lexis, okay? First of all, what is Lexis? How would you help me define what Lexis is? Oopsie, spoiler. How would you define what Lexis is? Could you help me? Vocab, I have a question. A cousin of grammar. That's cool. Vocabulary and expressions. A word or a group of words. Okay, I have a quote here for us to define it, which is, Lexis is a technical term for the vocabulary of a language as opposed to its grammar. The term lexical item is used in order to get around the fuzziness of the word word. Why? Because we have a problem if we say a word, right? If I say, is get up a word or two? Are two words working as one? What is it? How about go, goes, going, went, gone? Are they a single word or different words, 5 different words? This is the problem that we have when we use the word word. That's why we use the term lexical item. Get up and go are lexical items or lexemes. Of course, we're not going to make students use the term lexical item or lexeme all the time. Just going a little bit technical for us to explain, but students are going to use the word, and we are going to use the word with students because it's pedagogically better, right? But just so you know that there is this question when it comes to using the word, right? And the words goes, going, went, gone are inflections of the word go, of the lexeme go, right? Hello, Ingrid. Yes, they are different words inflected, right, into this lexeme go, right? Just a little bit of theory for us to start. And comparing and contrasting lexis and grammar, I have a question for you. Yeah, it was nice. Which is more effective to learn when it comes to communication, lexis or grammar? What do you think and why? Lexical grammar. Okay. We gotta choose one, lexis or grammar. Practicing. Lexis because of the focus on meaning, because it helps communicate. Lexis. So we're all on the same page, aren't we? That's good. So we would say that lexis is more useful to communication than grammar. They are both important. Okay, don't leave this session saying that I said that grammar is not important. Both are important, just the way Anna just said. But lexis is more useful when it comes to communication, because imagine this person sends a message. I and my friends yesterday go nightclub. I'm not saying this is the right way to say, but this person was able to communicate successfully, right? We can understand. My friend and I went to a nightclub yesterday. They didn't write this sentence. My friend and I went to a nightclub yesterday. However, they were able to send the message, which was my friends and I went to a nightclub yesterday. But not beautifully, we could argue, but there was communication happening. On the other hand, if I have this person with a beautiful grammar structure, excuse me, sir, is there any way you could lend me your, if you don't know the word, if you don't know the lexeme, then communication was not successful, right? So there's a beautiful grammar structure here, but if you don't know the word calculator, if you don't know the word that you need, then there was no communication happening. Okay, that's why we say that lexis is more important to communication, more useful to communication than grammar, right? A lot of people don't care about grammar, unfortunately. I agree with you that it's really sad that we ignore one of the skills, one of the systems. We have to teach and practice and learn all of them, right? It is really important because they work together to make you proficient, to make you fluent in the language, right? Okay. When it comes to oral proficiency, when I say oral proficiency, oral fluency, how can we assess one's speaking? How can we know that this student or this speaker is fluent, is proficient when it comes to speaking? Yes, Anna. It's important that we provide students with opportunities for to practice all the skills, right? All the skills and all the systems. You are right. So some features, Maria Inês, right? Some features of the person speaking, the person's pronunciation, help us assess, right? It would depend on the level we are assessing. Yes, André, I couldn't agree more. It does depend on the level. But can we say that a student is fluent only when they advance, or only when they get to C2 level, an advanced or proficient level? or can we say they are fluent? Andrea says no. We can say they are fluent before. Do you agree? Intonation and the way they combine words and chunks. Yeah, so the use, the range of words they have, right? That's right. Someone typing. Grammar mistakes or the lack of grammar mistakes. Okay. So it's important to remember one more time that you can speak without a good range of vocabulary. And that's why I chose to talk about this today, right? The way they combine and pronounce words in a conversation. That's right. And for us to assess students, the aim of the task and the assessment criteria must be clear, right? I'm not going to talk about assessment per se, but just so we clarify what I just said about the person who sent lots of chunks with no full sentences, right? When we assess students, it's important to remember, to keep in mind, what is the purpose of the assessment? Good afternoon, Dina. What is the purpose of the assessment? What is a student's profile, right? What exactly is being assessed? What do I want to check if they know? What communicative situation is the target? What is the objective of that interaction? What criteria is used? What exactly? It has to be fair. For this to be fair with students, it has to be clear, right? What we want them to do, what we expect them to perform or to produce, right? Just a parenthesis for us to move on. When we talk about speaking and when we talk about Lexis, we're talking about competencies, right? It's also very important to talk about competencies. We want students to achieve communicative competence, but what is communicative competence? For us to say that we want to develop our students' communicative competence, there are four main aspects to this, which is the linguistic competence, right? And then Lexis is inside the linguistic competence. So we're developing their grammar, knowledge of grammar, their Lexis, okay? Pronunciation is inside linguistic competence as well. Social linguistic competence, which is not only knowing the words, but knowing how to make use of them, how to use the words in context, in social situations, right? So social linguistic competence is knowing how to use and respond to language appropriately in society, right? So which words and phrases fit this situation? So here, where I am now, is it better if I say, how are you, or how do you do? Register, exactly, Alan. We're talking about register. So is it formal? Is it informal? Both are correct. Both are going to ask the same question. How are you? Or how's it going? Or what's up? Both ask the same question and are going to have the same outcome. But which one is appropriate for this place where I am right now? This is what social linguistic competence tells you, right? We also talk about discourse competence, which means to interpret the larger context. Okay, we're talking about how are the words, the phrases, the sentences put together to create a conversation in speeches, in emails, in messages, in a speech that I'm giving, a newspaper article. When you look at that text or when you listen to that segment, you know what it is. Oh, I know it's an email. I know it is an acceptance speech. I don't know. Because of the discourse competence, you know the structure, you know the words that are used, right? Hello, Ana Valeria. And strategic competence. Strategic competence is how to recognize and repair communication. You know, when when you teach students the conversation strategies. Oh, so if you need time to think, you're going to say, Oh, that's a good question. While you were thinking, you cannot just stop talking, right? So you're going to know what to do to repair communication, to negotiate meaning. Okay, social linguistic competence examples. What's cooking? What are you up to? How's things exactly? You have to know when to use these ones and in which situations, right? Okay. So this is communicative competence. Communicative competence is the marker, and then we have linguistic competence, and inside linguistic competence, we have the lexis of the language. Not only, but we also have the lexis of the language, right? And when we talk about lexis, vocabulary, chunks, what should we help our students develop? I really like this image that tells us they have to know the speech sounds, so they have to know how to articulate, how to say the words we teach them, the phonemes, the words per se, the phrases and sentences. So, for example, speech sounds, phonemes, words. They know the word doll, for example. They know it's a toy that kids can play with, can use some storytelling, playing with the doll. Phrases and sentences. If I say, oh, pick up the doll, so the word is in context. It's within a sentence. There's meaning there. There's a message being sent, right? Literal meaning. So the literal meaning is, it's a doll. So I'm talking about the toy, okay? Meaning in context of discourse would be looking at someone and say, oh, you are a doll. I'm not saying that the person is a toy, right? I'm just saying that they are so kind that we are going to use, oh, you were dull, to mean to say that they are kind. Okay? So students have to know not only the meaning of the word, but how to use the word in context. And again, social linguistic is here to help us say when to say the context of the words, right? Thank you, Mauro. So we have to know the context, which is essential to any kind of communication, right? There's someone typing. I feel anxious when someone's typing, so I need to be looking at the chat. They have stopped. They're typing again. Okay, let's move on. So, how do our students learn vocabulary and lexis and chunks of language? First, they observe language in use. So the first thing they do is to observe language in use. For examples, through listening, through reading a text, okay? And then they hypothesize the way it works, right? They make hypotheses about the way the language works, and they experiment with the language, with creating creating the language, the communication, the message themselves in their own specific contexts, okay? I'm gonna make my email address available at the end. If you want the slides, I can share them with you. Okay, Adriana? The limits of my word. Yes, exactly. I like this quote. I really like this one. So let's see. There's a question here. How is hypothesizing different from experimenting? Let me show it to you in a clearer way here. So to observe, students are going to read and listen to a text and then answer some comprehension questions. And the task that we give students is essential to direct them to the target language. We want them to notice that target language, okay? Hypothesizing, Pandora, is learners figure out meaning. They're going to say, oh, I guess this means this. You know, they have to develop the sub-skill of guessing meaning from context. This is very important because they're not going to memorize all the words that there are in English in order to read a text, to read a book. They're going to be able, they have to be able to guess meaning from context, to deduce meaning from context. That's what children do when they are learning and acquiring a language. That's what we do when we read a very formal text. We try and hypothesize what that means through the context, okay? Because we cannot stop and check the dictionary every time we don't know a word. Same thing for our students. Otherwise, they're never going to be fluent in reading, right? So being able to figure out meaning is essential, right? And then they're going to use lexical inferencing. They're going to notice the parts of the word. Oh, ness, that's a suffix, so it's a noun. Or un, it means you're undoing something, or a negative prefix or something that helps them understand what that word is. Not only the context, but also the word itself, the parts of the word. Morphology helps them know, right? And when we're practicing, we're going to give them some concept check questions, right? So we teach the lexical item, and then we check if they understand. How? By asking them, do you understand? No, because if we ask them, do you understand? They're going to say yes. Most of the time, especially if they are teenagers, if they're kids, if they don't know how to ask the questions that are on their minds, they're going to say yes or no with no further details. So when we ask a concept check question, we are checking whether or not they understand what we just taught them. Okay, so for example, I teach the word glasses. I wear my glasses before reading a book, while reading a book, right? So is this an object you wear on your body, or something you hold with your hands? So that they say, oh, it's something you wear on your body, in front of your eyes, right? Students need to learn to be autonomous. That's why, again, they have to know how to figure out meaning, right? That's why these strategies, not only reading, but especially in this case, reading strategies are important. I couldn't agree more, Pat. Right? So concept check questions are going to help us check whether or not students were able to grasp the meaning of the words we taught them. Okay? So that's the moment. Who asked the difference between hypothesizing and experimenting? It was Pandora. So Pandora, that's the moment when they're hypothesizing, that's the moment they have to try and understand. It's an internal process, right? They are trying to understand what it means, to figure out what it means. Once they know what it means, we provide them with feedback, we check their understanding. Now they're going to produce. Okay, that's the difference. So hypothesizing is about input, and experiment is about output. Okay, even though they are interacting with us, that's still input because they are learning the words. Okay, now they're going to put them out there in the world, and they're going to put the target language into practice and use it and experiment with it and make mistakes so that they are corrected. Okay, does that make sense? You're welcome. You're welcome. Great. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. All right, people. So I'm going to give you an example now. I'm going to show you how you should not teach Lexis. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of what not to do. All right. So I have a word here to teach you today. You're my students, okay? I have a word to teach you here today. The word is clomb. Can you repeat? Clomb. Very good. Clomb. Okay. Clomb is when two things crash. Yes? So now, when two things crash, it's a clomb. I would like to ask you to write a sentence using clomb. Can you write here in the chat? Write a sentence using the word clomb, please. There was a clomb yesterday. The cars clumbreth. Okay. The two lorries clumped in the road. They clumped into each other. The cars clumped. Oh, I forgot to tell you something. Clump is when two things crash in the air. Okay? When two things crash in the air, it's a clump. So maybe the helicopters clump. Important info. Yes. Verb or noun? Oh, you're feeling the need of more information. Yes. Clomb is a verb. Okay, what is the simple past of clomb? Clombed, someone said here. It's an irregular verb. clam with an A, C-L-A-M-B. Okay, clam. And the past participle. Clam. Can't even pronounce that. C-L-U-M-B, Simone. That's right. Clum. So clam, clum. Okay? So I forgot. Let me just check the sentences. Someone said there was a clum yesterday. Clum is a verb, not a noun. What is the noun? There was a clum. No, clum is a verb only. Clumbing, clumbance. There was a clumbation yesterday. Okay, clumbation is the noun. Sorry, I forgot to give you all this information before asking you to write an example. Okay, this is the end of the presentation. Just to tell you, I am also an actor. Okay, so remember, this was how not to teach Lexis. Okay, first of all, disclaimer: I made that word up. Okay, I love telling this at the end. There was once I gave this session and I forgot to tell people that there was a word I had made up, and they went home and I think they are still using this word. But thank you very much. But I made it up, just so you know. So what were the problems we had in this language presentation here? Yes, I made it all up. I'm sorry. I'm creative. I'm an actor, and I should be a better person. Okay, so what were some of the problems you had here because of this lousy grammar language presentation? Thank you. It's the drama classes. It was out of context, Romulo. Yes, it was out of context. Pat, there was no context. Yes. What else? You were not speaking. Yes, maybe I would have asked you to speak if we were like, because we just have the chat here. But anyway, it was a way to show you how not to teach. So you could say there was no speaking. Okay, there were no examples. Okay, and then there's no context, right? Very few clues. Yes. How about when I forgot to say lack of input? That's it. That's what I wanted. There was lack of input because I said when two things crash. Oh no, wait, when two things crash in the air, and then I forgot to mention that. Right? Okay. So it all comes down to three words. Whenever we teach Lexis, and for every single word we teach our students, there must be three things in the presentation. What are they? Let's see if you know. I always have to tell students the and the of the word. What are these three words? Context, input, examples. Yes, M is for meaning. You were right. Oh, I got answers here. The meaning, the form, and the pronunciation. Okay, I'll talk about function towards some slides from now. Okay, meaning, form, and pronunciation. That's right. So if I teach them the word clom, they have to know it is when two things crashing in the air before I ask them to write an example. Okay, form, they have to know that it's spelled C-L-O-M-B, and that the simple past is clam, and that the past participle is clom. Okay, before I ask them to write an example, and that the noun is clombation, not clom, before I ask them to write an example. And they have to know how to pronounce the word clom, clam, clum, and the inflections, right? Clom, clam, clum, clombation, before I ask them to speak and to say and to make up an example, right? Everything before, right? I can always try and test if they know, so maybe I can elicit from them. So instead of telling them, clom is when two things crash in the air, I can just say, you know, people, there is a word, I can't remember it. When two things crash in the air, what is the word? What is the verb that we use for this? Oh, clom, that's right. And then I can elicit from a student. Okay? Sorry, Livia. I joked when I read her message. Livia, I'm so sorry you wrote it down. It has. I have that happen. I've seen that happen many times, but I just apologize. It's for pedagogical reasons. Okay, so it's important that we give them meaning, provide them with meaning, form, and pronunciation for every single lexeme, every single word we teach them. Okay, so now how can we convey meaning? How can we convey, yes, you were, when there is no context and there isn't a good language presentation, you feel like shooting in the dark, you don't know what you're doing. And it's terrible to give students this sensation that they are just saying random words, they don't know what they're saying. We feel uncomfortable that in our mother tongue. So it's even worse when it comes to a second language or a foreign language, that you're just saying random words, you don't know if they're right. So students feel bad when this happens. Okay, that's why you should provide them with all the information before they really produce, they really experiment with the language. Okay. Thank you, Maria Inês. That's right. So now, when it comes to conveying meaning to students, sorry, there are 10 different techniques that we can use to convey meaning to students. Maybe you can think of 3, 4. Can you think of some techniques? Don't tell me just yet, okay? Yes, Ana Valeria. I have a similar example with my students sometimes with the word, thank you, André, with the word beach, going to the beach. And then I change it, I use this text in Portuguese, but instead of using the word beach, I make up a word. And then by the context, a beach umbrella, or because in Portuguese it's not, it doesn't have the word beach in beach umbrella, right? So beach umbrella, coconut, water, sea, sand. Because of the context, they know I'm talking about a beach, right? So then I show them, okay, you didn't need to, I mean, you could understand the context and you could figure out the meaning of the word beach without me writing the word beach. Oh, that's amazing. So the same when you're reading a text. Okay, why this verb plum does not appear in the dictionary. It might someday. That's why I've been giving this webinar and trying to make people start using this. And that's my claim for today. Let's start the claw movement. Okay, so for us to see these 10 different techniques to convey meaning, I'm going to have a dictation with you. Okay, do you have some paper around, a piece of paper? Could you number from 1 to 10? You're going to be my students again. I'm going to convey meaning and you write down the word. All right? I'll give you 10 seconds to pick up some paper. All set. Great. So the first one, please look at the slide. Okay? Number 1 is this. Just don't write in the chat, okay? We're going in the chat box. We're still going to check later. No spoilers, please. This is number 1, okay? Number 2 is the opposite of big. The opposite of big. Write down on a piece of paper. The opposite of big. The opposite of big is? Get the teacher's part here. Okay. Number 3, look at me, please. Number 3. This is number 3. I'm not tired. Actually, I am, but this is, I'm not tired. This is number 3. Again, number 3 is? Number 4, glue is, jam is, gum is, honey is, blue tack is. What do they have in common? Glue, jam, gum, honey, blue tack, they are all very... Okay. Number 5, you gotta look at me. So I'm going to show you myself. This is number 5. Okay? Number 5. Number 6. So I invited my best friend to my birthday party, which is a very special day to me. But my best friend did not show up. He was not at my birthday party. How did I feel? My best friend did not go to my birthday party, which is a very special day for me. How did I feel? Number 7, right? Yes. Number 7, very man. Number 7, look at the slide, please. There's cold, there's hot. What's here in between? No spoilers, just write down on a piece of paper, please. Totally. Yes. Don't write the answers in the chat just yet, okay? Please. Oh, spoilers all around. Problem. Number 8. Number 8. Sad, down, blue. No problem. Sad, down, blue. Can you give me another word? Sad, down, blue. Another word for this. Number, oops, I just closed the, sorry. Number 9, take a look at this slide again. Thank you, Ingrid, no problem. See you. Number 9, how can you complete this on the piece of paper, please? 2 blah, blah, blah pictures, 2 blah, blah, blah shower, 2 blah, blah, blah taxi, 2 blah, blah, blah chance. There's a word that can go with all these collocations. And number 10. Number 10, someone who is hopeful about the future and tends to expect that the best will always happen is? Someone who is hopeful about the future and tends to expect that the best will always happen is? Can we check? You missed number 7. Number 7 is here. This is number 7, Adrian. Thank you, Anna. I really like having this activity when students are back from vacations or something like that. I think it's really interesting to recap vocabulary. Number 5 you missed. Number 5 is this. Look at my camera, please. Number 5. Okay. So what is, you're welcome. What is number 1, people? Yes, it is a bus. You're right. Okay, number 1 is a bus. Great. Number 2? Small. Great. Big, the opposite of big is small. Great. Number 3? I have sleepy, I have yawn. It was yawn because I was talking about the action. Miming has this issue that students might get something totally different. Okay, but because this activity is out of context, I'm talking about different things. But if you're teaching, for example, actions, and then you can use some miming, they are going to understand it's yawn, not sleepy. Okay, but this is totally comprehensible because there is no context in this activity. Okay. Number 4. Sticky, that's right. Gum, glue, jam, blue tack, honey, they're all sticky. That's right. Number 7, what is it? Scissors, or a pair of scissors. Okay. Number 6, my best friend was not there and I felt. Could be. Everybody wrote disappointed, upset. Most people always also get frustrated, right? Yes, frustrated, Adriana. That's right. Okay. Number 7, cold, hot, between. Yes, I have warm here. Some people usually ask me at this point, what happens if a student says chilly, for example? Are you going to sit down and cry? No, that's a good moment for you to discuss meaning. Okay, you can discuss, okay, you wrote chilly and you wrote warm. What is the difference between chilly and warm? Because they're both correct. We're not going to spend 10 minutes discussing the position of the question marks. So we're just going to make sure they understand that chilly is colder than warm. And then you can have this line and then have both of them, chilly and warm, in the right position. Okay, it's just a good moment to discuss meaning with students. Just like number 6, some students wrote disappointed, some of you wrote disappointed, some of you wrote upset. What's the difference between upset and disappointed? Because disappointed and frustrated could be synonyms, right? Even though there are no perfect synonyms in life, but they could be synonyms. Different from upset. What is the difference? Oh, what makes you feel upset? When do you feel disappointed? And then you can even practice this vocabulary after checking meaning, right? Number 8. Miserable, yes. Upset, I have upset here, depressed. And then it's a good moment again. Sad, down, blue, upset, depressed. Which one is worse? Which one is more intense? Oh, depressed is more intense than these ones here. So then you can discuss with students, okay? It's a good moment to discuss, not to feel sad or that the activity didn't work. It's a great learning opportunity, okay? Everything is a great learning opportunity, even mistakes, okay? Number 9. Great, yes. You take a chance, take a taxi, take a shower, take pictures. Great, it's a good way to convey meaning as well. Because when your student looks at you like in the eyes and says, teacher, what does have mean? Okay, do you have time for us to talk about it? And then collocation helps you deal with that, okay? And number 10, someone who's hopeful about the future is positive would go, optimistic or an optimist if it's a noun. Okay, visionary, great. Okay, again, a good moment to discuss meaning and different connotations to these words. Okay, now let's go back to our teacher brains and discuss the techniques I used here. Okay, so first I showed you that. What is the technique to show, thank you, Marinesh. What is the technique I used to show you the word a bus? Yes, visualization, picture. Visual aid is the umbrella term because a picture is a visual aid, but a GIF could be a visual aid as well, right? A video could be a visual aid to convey meaning. So I just wrote visual aid to have all these possibilities, not only pictures, okay? Number 2, the opposite of big. What is the technique I used? Good, antonyms. They are opposite words. So the opposite of big is small. They are opposite. I'm contrasting these words. Excellent. Teacher yawns. What is a technique? Gestures, mimic, miming. That's right. The name of the technique is miming. But all these ones would do. Gestures, mimic. Excellent. Great. Glue is, jam is, gum is, honey is, blue tack is. Physical response. Great. Physical response is great to practice as well. These are clues, images, not necessarily concrete in this case. I'm associating them with examples. Okay, I'm providing them with examples. They are feeling the sensation, someone said here. That's right. I'm associating the word. You're all right. Okay, so I'm giving them examples. And I wrote examples in the plural on purpose because the more the better in this case. I cannot say, oh, glue is, and then they're going to say white. And they are not wrong, are they? Right? So the more examples we give, the better, so that they can see what these things have in common. Okay, not, yes, glue is white. But if I say glue and jam, for example, I cannot say they're white. Okay. Next one. Teacher shows a pair of scissors. We knew they were adjectives as well. That's right, Marina. Yes, I'm giving you the concrete visual stimulus. So it is called a realia because it's the real object. Great, some people said it here. Realia is when you show, what's the difference between number 1 and number 5? Showing a picture of a bus and showing a bus in the classroom. The one is, yes, that's right. Realia is the real object, as Rosemary said here. And one is just visual, right? It's a picture of a bus. It's a video with a bus in it. It is a GIF with a bus. But number 5 is the bus, the actual bus in the classroom, okay? There are some things you can use realia with. There are some things you cannot use realia with. Just like an elephant, you're not going to take one to the classroom unless you are teaching in a zoo. Maybe you can use a realia of an elephant, okay? That was not a joke, I'm serious, because that would have been a terrible joke, you know. Okay, number 6, my best friend. I could be discussing the synonyms, the case of a bad feeling, no, frustrated, disappointed, that's right. But I'm giving the situation as Mercedes said. Don't think about the solving the problem. What is I'm giving a context, yes. What is the context? How am I giving you the context? Through what? The usage of the words in a context in a? I'm trying to use all the answers. Yes, in a story. So the technique is storytelling, okay? Yeah, that's it. The technique is storytelling. I remember when I was teaching using a book for adult learners, and there were lots of words related to money. The unit was about money, and there were lots of words related to money, but there was no context. And then what did I do? I created a story that I had inherited some money, because there was like fancy vocabulary. I had inherited some money from my cousin, and then it was a fun time. I had inherited some money, and then I went broke. I had to get a loan, and then with this context, I created a story, and then I could teach all the words in a meaningful context. Otherwise, there was just a box with words: loan and go bankrupt, get broke, words with no context and definitions. And that was boring. So I created a story, told them the story, got them involved in the story, and then we went to the book and checked meaning using that exercise, okay? So the language presentation became a practice exercise, okay? Number 7, cold, hot. There's a name for that. Don't be afraid. I'm showing different degrees. I am. That's grading, okay? I'm making them infer meaning through a cline. We call it, you're getting closer. We call it a cline, which is short for continuous line. It's a continuous line, it's a cline. Okay, so you can go from cold to hot, it can go from sober to drunk, and you have sober, tipsy, drunk. Okay, great things you can teach using this. You can go from tiny to enormous, and then you teach them the words in between, right? Great. Number 8, sad, down, blue. Yes, they are synonyms. That's right. Synonyms, which is an antonym to the word antonym. Right? Okay, two blah, 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 pictures, a shower, a taxi, a chance. If you have to teach that tricky verb, and then you put them into context, you're using the collocations, right? And then students ask, oh, but why is it take, not do? Why is it take, not make? Why is it take, not have? Oh, because of the collocation. Okay, phrasal verbs and collocations, nice. And number 10, optimistic. Great. I'm giving you the definition. All right. The meaning, yes. The meaning of the word, the dictionary meaning, right? Excellent. So it is nice to remember we have 10 different techniques to convey meaning. Otherwise, we're just stuck to definition, visual aid, synonyms. But the more we vary, the better, because it's nice to surprise our students, right? And give them different stimuli. It's nice to have different options instead of just using the same. And you can try different ones. If they don't understand, if you use a collocation, then you can go and give a synonym, or you can tell a story, or you can show something, show a visual aid or something. That's nice, Marinesh. Thank you. That's great feedback. Okay. All right. So when it comes to meaning, form, and pronunciation, what do we have to teach our students? It's nice to teach them the connotation, the meaning of the word, the register, if it's formal, informal, if it's old-fashioned, the usage, how they can use this word, put this word into context. And then again, there's some social linguistic knowledge so that they know when to use this word properly, okay? If it's slang, if they shouldn't use this in the workplace, for example, if it's a bad word. Form, they have to know the spelling, how to spell this word, the grammar, if it's uncountable. Information is uncountable. Don't say two informations or an information. It's uncountable. Grammar. The collocation, you don't do coffee, you make coffee, okay? Or you have coffee. And when it comes to pronunciation, the sounds, the phonemes, the stresses, if the word you say secretary, you don't say secretary, okay? You say flabbergasted, you don't say flabbergasted, okay? The intonation, if it's a phrase, you're teaching them the phrase, oh, how nice. They're not going to say how nice like this. You gotta say how nice. You gotta give this intonation so that you convey meaning with what you're saying. It's not only about the words, it's about the way you say the words as well, right? And that's it. I have some activities here to show you that I think I can give you an overview instead of, and I cannot do the activities with you because, you know, there's only the chat. But the first one is include the pics. The more activities we provide students with, the better, so that they can put this vocabulary into context, okay? But include the pics is a nice picture that I like as a warm-up. I like to use as a warm-up. So there are some questions here. Oh, why do you study English? And then they have to answer the question. While they're answering the question, the other student, the partner, shows a picture, and they have to include that picture in the answer. So for example, why do you study English? Oh, I study English because I think it's very important to communicate with other people. And I would love to go to Canada, which is a snowy place and has people who don't speak Portuguese. They speak English or French. So I study English to practice it, okay, to communicate with them. What helps you remember new words? Oh, I like writing down the words and putting them into practice, making sentences. And that was unexpected. And I also use a hammer to, like on my head, while I'm saying the words, it helps me internalize them. I don't know. I just came up with that. So this is a fun activity, especially, thank you, especially when it's a tricky lexical set you have to teach. You know, when you teach natural disasters, how are you going to make them practice natural disasters? Or which ones have you experienced? That's the only meaningful question you can ask. So you can do something fun with your students, especially a warm-up or a wrap-up to that lesson using the lexical set that is difficult to teach, okay? That's a suggestion. Another one, mime the adverb. I love this one. Mime the adverb. You know when they have to pick up a word and mime, same thing, but students have to guess the word with clues. So for example, they pick up a piece of paper and it's written slowly. They're not going to do anything. The group is going to tell them, open the door. So they have to go there and open the door slowly. They say, touch your head. And they touch their head slowly. And the group needs to guess the adverb slowly. Okay, it's good when you're practicing adverbs. I love this one too. It's good when you're practicing adverbs because you can do anything, like open the door, visiting, lexical, speaking, the hammer, yes. It's good when you're practicing adverbs, so they can do any action that is possible to do in the classroom, okay? Kim's memory game is just like a memory game. You're going to show them the words, and then you omit them, and they have to write down the words that you just showed them. And afterwards, you use the words in context. Ask them to write a sentence or something, just so it's not decontextualized, okay? Next one, associating and internalizing words. You show them a list of words, as many as you want them to internalize, memorize. And then after you show them the words, you ask them to write something that comes to your mind when you think of the word selfish. They can write another word. They can write someone's name that they think is selfish. When they finish the new list, so they write Felipe, Juliana, Carla, my brother, my mother. You omit this list of the target language, and they just have their own list. And they have to remember, oh, I wrote Felipe because the word was selfish. They have to remember the original list. Oops. They have to remember the original list based on their own lists of association. Okay? I think this one is really nice, and they tend to like it, especially with adjectives, so that they can associate that with people they know. Okay? And that's what I can do in this time I have. It's always nice to remember, provide students with meaningful opportunities to practice. Okay, don't just give them like fill in the blanks exercises, speaking exercises to put vocabulary into practice. Meaningful sentences that they can create are always very good activities to do with students. Okay, and thank you, Ana Valeria. I would like to finish with this quote here, which is not in the middle of the slide, and it should be, and I get, okay, sorry, which is one forgets, and if you got it was wrong, congratulations. One forgets words as one forgets names. One's vocabulary needs constant fertilizing or it will die. So if we don't allow students to put that vocabulary into practice, if we don't revisit, recycle vocabulary, they're going to forget it, as it's a word, and we're going to rely on students' memory, and that's not what we want. We don't want to rely on their memory, but on their ability to internalize words. Okay? That's it. Here you can find my references. Thank you very much for the feedback. You can see my references to this talk here, the books I used to get inspired and get some information. Okay, thank you all very much for the feedback here in the chat. Thank you all for being here. Thank you one more time, Disal, for the invitation, and Troika as well. Thank you. All right. Thank you. All the best for you all. That's it. Stay safe. See you next time. Thank you very much. Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.